Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Audio Huddle, Finals Edition, baby. So we know a lot of people are finally tuning in to the NBA playoffs because the Raptors made the finals. Didn't expect that. JK, I did.
I also did.
Yes, baby. How many years of suffering?
Too many years of suffering.
How many years of primo pasta?
Too many years of primo pasta.
Well, we had the pasta, but now we have the sauce.
We have the spicy sauce.
Exactly. So on this episode, we'll be breaking down the entire lineup of the Toronto Raptors and giving you bandwagoners a little insight and some information on how to office talk with your boss tomorrow.
So get ready for this Raptors 101, you bandwagons.
Again, we don't hate bandwagoners. We welcome you, and we're here to help. So treat us like your guide and tune in for episode 6 of Audio Huddle.
The Raptors edition.
Well,
Well, actually, every single episode is basically a Raptors edition.
yeah, we really jerk our team off.
It is what it is.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
So let's get started. So in order for us to really break it down for you guys, we're going to basically break down every single player, starting from the starters to the reserves to even the bench warmers.
The one stuck on the bench that occasionally rises up when a big three was thrown, and they hold each other back because they definitely wouldn't be able to make that shot. So I guess the one person we need to talk about first before anyone else on the Toronto Raptors is the legendary, the great,
The robotic.
the big-handed Kawhi Leonard. Now, for those who live in Toronto, you may have seen a lot of things like Kawhi and Dine, please re-sign him, he stay. And you're wondering, what's so special about this guy? Kawhi Leonard is actually the top 3 player in the NBA right now, if not the best player in the NBA. And it speaks volume in how well he's been playing for the Toronto Raptors. And a lot of people would love him to sign because he can elevate the Raptors into a finals level team if he actually stays.
It's also the fact that Kawhi Leonard right now is really carrying the team in ways that we've never seen in a very long time. Obviously, LeBron has done it in the past against with the Cavs. But right now, big comparisons are being made with Kawhi being very Michael Jordan-like. And obviously, some people are quick to jump on that. But if you look at it, a lot of the mid-range shots that he's taking, as well as the clutch situations and having the ability to basically take over a game and make sure that, Kawhi is able to punch that exclamation mark, that's very Jordan-esque. And the comparisons are very rightfully so.
Yeah, so a lot of businesses in Toronto are offering him free food for life, jewelry, a full-on penthouse for free if he simply signs back with the Toronto Raptors. So right now, he's on a 1-year rental deal off of a trade between DeMar DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl, second-round pick and cash consideration for him and Danny Green. He only has 1 year left on his contract, and we're praying that he signs back. Oh, and what else is he being offered? Something chickens?
Oh, yeah, like everyone's offering whatever they can. There's a petition going on as well if he stays. I know Chronic Inc. is also offering a $50 credit for the next tattoo if he simply resigns as well. And there are places in like Thunder Bay and Sudbury that's offering like cheap chicken discounts and stuff like that. You know what? Everyone in the city is offering and contributing to something, whether it's a petition, chickens, penthouses,
Tattoos.
anything. It's okay. But no lie, Kawhi is here to stay. He stay.
I hope he stay. Now, why do we want him to stay? Well, Tommy already explained it. He is an amazing player, Jordan-esque level. But let's break it down a little bit more. Kawhi Leonard got his claim to fame in 2014 when he actually won the finals with the Spurs against the legendary Miami Heat team led by LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Now, what made Kawhi so special in that series is that he effectively shut down LeBron James' offense, which no one could ever do. He literally made LeBron James shit himself anytime Greg Popovich, which is the coach of the San Antonio Spurs, tell Kawhi Leonard to go guard LeBron. This young, quiet kid with massive hands effectively shut down the entire Miami Heat offense and got himself the Finals MVP. Later on, he would also elevate into superstar level where he would become Defensive Player of the Year in both 2015 and 16. He would continue to tear the butthole of the West all the way until 2016 where he got injured by the scum of the NBA.
Zaza Pachulia.
Yes, this guy's known for literally injuring a lot of actually very powerful players, and Kawhi is one of them. That led to the distrust and disloyalty and the dissolving of relationships between the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard, which gave us the opportunity to get a deal between the Spurs to get Kawhi Leonard.
Obviously, we offered quite a lot for it, and at that time, a lot of the people in the Toronto Raptors fan base was unhappy because of the fact that we've given up one guy, probably the only guy ever in the Toronto Raptors to bleed red. Meaning, well, everyone bleeds red anyways, but like being able to bleed Raptors red.
Bleed dino blood.
Dino blood. Like, Chris Bosh looks like a dinosaur, but DeMar DeRozan lived the full-on Jurassic Park lifestyle. Because you had guys like T-Mac. He didn't want to be here.
You had guys like Vince Carter. He didn't want to be here.
He definitely didn't want to be here.
Yeah, he literally sabotaged our games sometimes.
And I think one thing that we want to bring up is, I know that you guys who are listening and don't really watch the Raptors, you guys give Vince Carter a lot of credit. But for guys who actually witnessed him, his last season, where he intentionally throws games, Vince Carter did a really pussy move by sabotaging games, acting crybaby, basically giving out the team and also sabotaging the team. And that's why when you bring up to a lot of the guys right now if we should retire the jersey or not, you can't fault the guys who've been watching ball for so long of how much hurtfulness that Vince Carter did to us.
The level of bitter that we've experienced from our last two superstars. Because don't forget, Chris Bosh also did not speak kindly about the Toronto Raptors after he left.
Yeah, for sure. He was with the team for about 7 years, and he's only brought us to like one playoff competition.
I think like two.
Yeah, but like they never passed the first round.
No,
anyways.
they never did.
So it's kind of sad that, our era of Vince Carter ended the way it did. And then the fact that Chris Bosh decided to join with the Heat. Obviously, you don't fault him for that. Great for him to be able to secure a handful of rings. Unfortunate what happened to him with his blood clot situation where he had to retire. But yeah, like we moved on to the next phase, and that was really sad for a long time because we had Turkoglu and Andrea Bargnani.
Don't forget Rudy Gay.
Yes.
Jermaine O'Neal.
Oh, man.
Sonny Weems.
Okay, we're naming all-stars and superstars only. Sonny Weems. Okay.
Anyways, so what Tommy was trying to explain was DeMar was the greatest Raptor. He was not the greatest player, but he was the greatest Raptor in history because he genuinely loved our team. And essentially, it's the equivalent of breaking up with this girl that you really, really loved for just a really hot girl that was a one-night stand. Because you knew your girl was obviously not as attractive or whatever compared to that girl you saw at the club, but you know she can hold you down. You know she'll always love you forever, right?
She's wifey material.
She's wifey material. But that girl, that Rebel, was looking too fine with that Fashion Nova dress that you decided to throw it all away for one night. And Kawhi is that girl that you just threw everything away for that one night.
And now your whole goal is to make sure that one night becomes a short-term fling.
Exactly.
Hopefully a long-term fling, but I'm okay with any fling at this point.
I'm okay with just a friends with benefit fling, like a one-for-one deal. Oh,
yeah.
Wonderful.
Realistically, though, if you think about what Kawhi would do, he would probably sign a short-term deal, either a 2-year or 3-year, with a player option on that last year.
I think it's a one-for-one. 2-year player option the last year.
Whatever it is, it's all good. But this is a little bit too technical for this particular.
So, Kawhi Leonard is amazing offensively. He is amazing defensively. He is considered the best two-way player in the NBA. Two-way means someone who can do both offensive plays and defensive plays. How is he good offensively? Look at the scores. He's averaging 30 points a game during the playoffs. And defensively, he's effectively shut down some of the best players in the NBA during this run.
Yeah. You've stopped major players like Vucevic. You stopped guys like Giannis.
Ben Simmons.
Embiid even at times.
Embiid at times. Jimmy Butler. These are all top-tier NBA players that are no slouches. These guys are all-star players, future superstars, and legitimate superstars that are all shut down by Kawhi Leonard. Now, he's given the name Claw because he has massive hands. Like, these hands are no joke. They're actually huge, and that actually keeps him from actually guarding players really well and also stealing a lot of turnovers because he has literally massive hands. Like, Google this shit. His hands are fucking massive.
Dude, he can grasp a ball with one hand with ease. And just imagine being able to do that. That's a lot of advantages everywhere. Fun fact, though. Sometimes you guys may have seen the Claw logo with Kawhi's hand and another hand underneath it. That logo is actually has its rights reserved by Nike.
Yes, so you'll actually never see that logo ever again because Kawhi Leonard's the fun guy signed with New Balance. You may have heard a lot about the fun guy joke, and you're wondering, okay, what's this fun guy thing? So, during the summer when they were doing press for the Toronto Raptors, someone was interviewing Kawhi and he went, "I'm a fun guy," and he proceeds to do the iconic laugh. Yeah, I don't really know how to do it, but it's a meme now. And even his shoe at this point is a meme. It's a regular sneaker that at the back of the shoe on the heel has Kawhi Leonard written on it in Times New Roman.
Yes, that's so Kawhi.
It's super Kawhi. So the way to understand Kawhi's personality and meme factor is that he is a very dry and plain yet self-aware superstar. He knows where he's funny. He knows exactly what he's doing.
An example would be when someone asked him, "Hey, Kawhi, after game 3 against the Bucks, how do you beat the Bucks in 4?"
And he responds, "I don't know. I haven't done that yet."
And you might think that that's a very literal answer, because yes, it is a literal answer. And yes, he did know what she was talking about, and she was just getting trolled by the Claw.
And also, when the Chinese news reporter says, "What can you say to the Chinese fans out in China?" Kawhi's response,
Ni hao.
and proceeds to leave.
And then he off camera asks, "Ni hao means hello, right?"
Yes. This is not offensive. This is literally Kawhi Leonard at his absolute finest. The meme value is stupendous. Please invest on Kawhi Leonard memes.
So, a TLDR of Kawhi Leonard. He is the best player in the NBA right now. Kevin Durant might have been the second option, but he's currently injured, and let's hope that he stays injured.
Because Kawhi Leonard is literally donkey fucking Golden State Warriors offense.
Yes. And if you guys hear anything about the Los Angeles, that's probably the next place that his family wants him to stay. And the Clippers, as well as the Lakers, have both been trying to tamper and poach him from the Toronto Raptors.
Now, if you want some argument pieces on why Kawhi should stay instead of going to the Lakers or Clippers, here's some facts. So, Kawhi actually is not from LA. He is from San Diego, which is a 2-hour drive from LA. Another reason for not going to LA is because he is, like we stated, a quiet guy who doesn't like the limelight. The moment you move to a large market like Los Angeles, all cameras are on him, which makes him very uncomfortable. Another reason, if Kawhi was to actually go to an LA team, whether it be the Clippers or the Lakers, let me break down the Lakers first. He'll be player number 2. He doesn't want that. No player at that level of like competitiveness wants to be number 2 to guy Mr. LeBron James. If he was to move to the Clippers, that means he has to rebuild from the very beginning. Whereas if he stays with Toronto, he already has an established team with known all-stars and budding superstars.
You also got to remember that Kawhi Leonard, when he first joined the league in 2011, he's always known to winning. Ever since joining the Spurs, he's never had a negative regular season win record, and he's always made it somewhere far in the playoffs. And then when he gets moved to Toronto, he's in the finals, baby. Does he really want to fight for that 5th or 4th seed with the LA Clippers? I think not. Fuck you, Bomber. Stay away from Kawhi.
Exactly. So, why Tommy said fuck you, Bomber? This piece of shit has been sending spies the entire season. Literally, he's been sending people to fly all the way to Toronto and follow Kawhi Leonard. The person is not allowed to actually interact with Kawhi Leonard, but all he's doing is simply standing there to represent the Clippers. That's it. They've literally sent spies to try and recruit Kawhi Leonard during the regular season.
You also got the coach, Doc Rivers, talking in interviews saying, yeah, Kawhi is a great player. He's Michael Jordan-like. We know he's Michael Jordan-like, but you don't have to bring it and brag to him. Stop trying to sugarcoat him with these words and lies. Not lies, truths, but you don't have the right to say it. He got fined $50,000 for saying that.
Exactly. And most importantly, his second son, it was a son, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, second son is actually Canadian because he was born in Canada.
So, yeah.
We got healthcare, baby.
He stay.
So,
yeah, let's just, no more Kawhi.
Oh, man, I want to talk about Kawhi more.
No more Kawhi. We got to move down the list.
Oh, wait, are we going down to the thickness?
Yes, thickness.
I'm excited.
So next up is the beloved Kyle Lowry. If you've been in Toronto for the last 7-8 years, you've probably heard of him in conversation, maybe a couple times in relative with DeMar DeRozan. And why is that? He is basically the only OG Raptor left from the previous era.
The dynasty where we were always making the playoffs and getting embarrassed by either LeBron James or Paul Pierce.
Yes, so we are known as the Chokers, being led by the Trash Bros.
Which is DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. So, Kyle Lowry is actually kind of the de facto captain of the team now. Now that DeMar DeRozan is gone, there used to be just co-captains, but now that DeMar was sacrificed for Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry has actually taken on the leader role. He is by far the most team-centric player in the Raptors. He plays complete team ball, very unselfish. And for those who have just heard him around, you've also heard the word thick correlated with his name a lot. Now, the reason why he's so thick is because he legitimately has the biggest ass in the NBA.
He has a thick booty, bro.
Yeah, look into it. There's literally a Twitter page called Kyle Lowry's Booty.
Really?
Yeah, that's where I found some of the images remember when we were editing videos and there was butt, but I used Kyle Lowry's butt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was where I found it.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, it's good that Kyle Lowry has a nice little thick cushion, because he uses his cushion to soften the falls when he hits the other team with charges.
Yes, so Kyle Lowry is actually a very short point guard. He's not tall at all. But what he makes up for it is great ball IQ and thick booty and lower center of gravity. So he's actually a very good in the paint defender. And you'll hear this quite a bit from crazy NBA fanatics who praise Kyle Lowry in his defensive plays. Because one-on-one, he's not that great, but in terms of team defense, he's actually pretty fucking phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. On top of that, his three-point shots has always been pretty reliable. He still chucks them like randomly out of nowhere, but he makes them about 33% to 36% of the time, which is acceptable. Kyle Lowry, he is actually, a fun fact, the number one leader in taking charges, and in the playoff series alone, he's taken about 18 charges. And put that into retrospective, there are teams like the Kings who have 18 the whole season, versus Kyle Lowry, who only has 18 in the X amount of games that he's played in the last month.
So it really speaks volume to the level of basketball IQ that Kyle Lowry has. So if you want to say something, throw out that you might know a little bit more basketball than the average person, say that Kyle Lowry has fantastic basketball IQ, great court vision. Because Kyle Lowry is also known for doing some amazing assists. Just from literally by like half.
Of course, if the team wins a championship, we might want to run it back again. That's no problem at all.
Yeah. Now, if you want to really, really have some ball knowledge, you could say they're probably going to try and trade Kyle Lowry for Mike Conley from the Memphis Grizzlies. Because that's definitely a big rumor between NBA fans, which is Mike Conley being traded over. Because he has stated that he does want to be on a winning team. Mike Conley, for context, is a fantastic point guard, very underrated in the West. Now, moving on to probably my favorite player in the Toronto Raptors. I feel the spiciness on my tongue.
Oh, yeah. He is one of our youngest, one of the finest, one of the most naturally nurtured Raptors of all time.
He is literally a Beyblade.
He was actually a almost priest, but thanks to being able to attend one of those basketball without border matches, ended up picking a ball and just played basketball for 7 years. And now he's our future MIP.
And future All-Star.
He is Pascal Siakam.
So, what's very special about Pascal Siakam and why you hear Spicy P? Actually, where did the nickname come from, Tommy?
So, the nickname of Spicy P actually came from, I think it was an interview with Danny Green, where he mentioned to Pascal, hey, you don't like spicy food, right? And Spicy P, Pascal Siakam, said the lines, I don't like spicy food because I'm spicy enough.
And he was absolutely correct.
And from there, he became memed, and people were labeling his signature spin move the spicy spin. And people were saying that they liked being sauced by his spicy sauce every time he sauces an opponent up. And just from that, I don't know, everyone starts picking up. Anything that Jack Armstrong says ends up becoming something, right?
Very true, very true.
Except for the marvelous DeRozan. That was kind of eh.
Okay, we don't need to bring that one up.
Okay, because that was a kind of bad nickname.
That was just straight up awful.
Yeah.
But Spicy P is definitely not awful. So, a little bit of context in Spicy P, Pascal Siakam's history is he was drafted 27th overall in the 2016 draft. Now, you may say, okay, well, at least he got drafted, right? No. 27th overall is actually fairly bad. Those are the players who have no hope in actually playing well. So the Toronto Raptors gave him a chance and put him in a thing called the G League. So the G League is pretty much the tier down for the NBA for players that are developing. These players still usually have no hope, and they kind of just regulate into third-string bench warmers, pretty much, that usually get dropped later on in like a season, maybe two. But Pascal actually excelled. He became a champion in the G League, a Finals MVP, and an MVP in the G Leagues, I believe. Or was that Chris Boucher? Doesn't matter. He played really fucking well, and he ended up on the bench team in the Toronto Raptors the previous season. And he led what people will consistently bring up, the bench mob in the Toronto Raptors. He led a very legendary bench, the second squad of the Raptors, that played very well, actually. And he got upgraded into a starter position this season, and he has definitely shown up.
Yeah, like even in the beginning, people saw that he had the upsides and he had the potential to do it. But even earlier on, all the critics were saying that he wasn't going to bloom into anything better than maybe like a mediocre player. No one expected him to play at the level that he is right now. Even when we picked up Jakob Poeltl, during the same draft class, people always thought that Poeltl had more upside as well. So even when they were trading, there were trading rumors going on, people were still suggesting to keep Poeltl over Siakam. And obviously, we made the right choice because the Raptors saw something more in Siakam. And it's good that he is now going to be the building block of the future. Regardless of if Kawhi stays or not, Pascal Siakam is going to be the building cornerstone of the Raptors moving forward in the future, the next 5-10 years.
Yes, so he is actually legitimately the future. He is completely grown and bred out of the Raptors system under Masai Ujiri. Also, if during the game you hear a guy go, yeah, that's probably Pascal Siakam attacking the paint. Now, if you want some context to say that, you know a little bit about how Pascal plays, he is actually very good against the Golden State Warriors right now because he is a small ball abuser. So what that means is teams that opt to play smaller players in their lineup who generally don't have an actual big man being the big man, that's a small ball team. Pascal Siakam excels against players that are his height or shorter. More context. During the playoffs when we were playing the Philadelphia 76ers and Milwaukee Bucks, he was a little bit underwhelming because they had massive players like Joel Embiid and Giannis, which he wasn't able to show off his true potential. Now that we can actually get to play the Golden State Warriors, Pascal will definitely excel, and you should definitely invest in saying that he is a small ball abuser.
So why does he excel? It's simply because he has the length of it. You might hear terms that he's very long, he's very versatile, and just because he is able to really penetrate the rim on both his left and right hand, those are moves that are really out to get the smaller guards and the smaller centers that are on him.
Yes, so there's a player on the Golden State Warriors named Draymond Green. I hate Draymond Green. He is a mouth breather. But a lot of players, well, not players, but people were comparing Pascal Siakam to Draymond Green in terms of the versatility that they play, because Pascal is also a fantastic defender and a great all-around player, great at defense, great at offense, great at actually running the ball too. Pascal actually ate Draymond Green because they were actually matched up against each other during Game 1. Pascal scored 32 points off of him, off of 14 for 17 shooting with only 2 free throws. That's amazing. Now, you may not see that kind of output throughout the entire series against the Golden State Warriors, but to have him completely spread the spicy sauce all over Draymond Green was delicious.
It's an example of the old school getting schooled by the new school.
Exactly.
And I think one thing that you guys gotta also, really pay attention to is that we've mentioned it many times before at Audio Huddle that Siakam broke his career high 7 times.
Yes.
In the regular season. So he's been constantly growing. And you know what else has been constantly growing? His Instagram followings. From Game 1 of the Golden State Warriors vs. Raptors final match, after the win and his performance, overnight he was able to earn an additional 32,000 followers. That's a lot of IG thoughties.
A lot one is Spicy P.
Yes. And of course, Pascal has joked about it many times. He said that he needs a raise. And you know what? He surely does need a raise. Right now, he's on his rookie contract. He's making like 2.6 mil or something absurdly low. But the performance and the outcome that he is bringing is max worthy.
Yes. Max worthy means we're paying him a lot of money, guys.
Of course, there are ways that you can handle it. You can obviously extend him the upcoming summer or the summer after and basically show him in a sign of good faith that we want to spend the money on him and grow him and definitely make him happy. Of course, that's not good for the Raptors because now you're, using cap space and stuff like that. But realistically, it's just about what the Raptors are going to do. Do we want to make him happy earlier so he's more loyal, or do we do a business like and just keep him at a low salary range? We've seen that happen before in the past, and it doesn't ever turn out well at all. Look at Porzingis. He was not extended, and look at him now. Versus Carl Anthony Towns. Very happy in Timberwolves, even though Timberwolves suck.
Carl Anthony Towns still the baby boy. Future superstar. But anyways, now, you'll hear a lot of this guy being mentioned. You're wondering, hey, who's that really tall white guy that's kind of slow and doesn't look like he's actually an NBA player on the Raptors? That is my guy, Mr. Marc Gasol. Now, you may have possibly occasionally heard the name Gasol somewhere else. That's actually correct. He has an older brother named Pau Gasol, who was with Kobe when they actually won several championships. A very famous Spanish basketball player, and they're brothers.
Yeah, they usually Marc Gasol. He was always the younger brother. He was the individual who's always overlooked. Even when he first got drafted, people were just saying that he didn't have the upsize for it. You had a lot of guys like his brother Paul, even Serge Ibaka in the Spanish leagues. They were dominating. You can see that they would be a cornerstone to any NBA team. Marc Gasol, on the other hand, was always being overlooked. He had to work very hard to get in the NBA, and he is a true definition of hard work ethics and being able to build himself. You can see that when he got drafted, he drafted 48th. We were mentioning that 27th was already like whatever.
So 48th is terrible.
48 is basically a G League contract at best. But of course, there's always diamond in the rough. And Marc Gasol was probably one of the best diamonds in the rough in NBA history. Probably up there with Manu Ginobili. And I would say I take Isaiah Thomas, but we'll leave that for another day. And he basically solidified himself as, the man in the Memphis Grizzlies after being drafted by Los Angeles Lakers, but trade rights in exchange for his brother. He ended up on the Grizzlies for over 11 seasons. And after cutting some weight, he came in a little bit chunky and with long hair. He looked like a mess, but after shaping down a little bit, as well as being able to groom himself as a better post-up player and also learning to shoot his threes better, he has really became not only a defensive player in the past, but also of the future in the Toronto Raptors right now.
So he's actually a former Defensive Player of the Year, and he's definitely a defensive cornerstone of the Raptors. Now, you may be hearing a lot of people mention how Marc Gasol has fantastic ball IQ. Well, a lot of that comes from his defensive plays. Throughout the playoff series, he's been playing amazing defense against the bigs that we've faced against. So, starting from the very beginning with the Orlando Magic, they had a all-star future superstar, Vucevic, who averaged around 25 points a game. 25 points during the regular season a game. Well, Marc Gasol shut him down to about 6 points a game.
Mm-hmm. He was basically non-existent in that game.
Yes. Now, there's also the big man you may have all heard about, Joel Embiid, who's a big character and a fantastic center in the NBA. Slated probably one of the top 3 centers within the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Completely shut down offensively. He had maybe one good game, which is the last game, against Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol's IQ is so high, he's actually able to completely shut down massive, athletically gifted players.
Yeah.
In the series against the Bucks, Brook Lopez had several games on Marc Gasol, but Marc Gasol took 2 L's and was able to game plan and figure out Brook Lopez and completely shut him down. And now we're going to see him put in the work in the Golden State Warriors. Now, you'll hear people mention about how, there's going to be some doubt on how Marc Gasol will perform in this series against the Golden State Warriors, because historically, he has not done well against the Golden State Warriors. He was shut down by Andrew Bogut and Draymond Green. Fortunately, so far it's not been the case. He's actually played his best game so far in the entire playoff series, like the entire playoff run, with 20 points off of 10 rebounds.
Yeah, it's been a pretty solid run for Marc Gasol right now, and people always overlook his offense because obviously he's been aging. He's been in the league for a long time now. Offensively, we didn't pay him for the offensive. We paid him for two things: the defensive presence as well as the basic playoff experience that he had.
And also his amazing facility of the ball. You'll see Marc Gasol often actually not in the paint, where he's actually around the three-point line, facilitating the ball fantastically. It's very quick one-touch passes to the right man. He always know who to pass to, which really elevated the way we play our game, which is a lot of high-intensity, fast-paced three-point shooting. And this long giant, Spanish giant, was able to actually help this a lot.
Yeah, people always ask us, hey, is the trade worth it? Was trading away Jonas Valanciunas, DeLon Wright, and CJ Miles a good sacrifice to essentially just get Marc Gasol?
Who is an older, out of his prime, former All-Star. And you know what? It's starting to show, yeah, it is worth it.
Yeah, playoff experience is very underrated. People don't understand that even though you can have the best team, if you don't have that veteran presence that's able to handle the situation and the pressure that's added on from the atmosphere as well as what's at stake, it really shows, because that's what basically the Bucks did. They had a similar team to the Raptors in terms of talent. They probably had the best guy in the league right now, the probable MVP in Giannis, and he had a record of rolling Raptors all regular season. But what happens? They shut down because they're all a bunch of young guys and they weren't able to adjust accordingly. Because to excel in the playoffs, you have to be a really well-rounded individual and being able to handle these high-pressure situations.
It's not just high pressure, but it's also grinding it out. You don't have to understand. During the regular season, you may play a team one time in November and you won't see them till February or March. So you don't have a lot of time to really adjust with the team. Whereas in the playoffs, you see the same team at least 4 times every 2 days. So you're really grinding it out. It's very high intensity for teams in the playoffs compared to regular season, because the regular season is more relaxed. And a lot of people will say, you don't really give a shit about the regular season. It all matters during the playoffs.
So I guess moving in, our last and final starter of the Raptors is also someone with a lot of playoff experience. Also has a chip, which is a ring, meaning winning it that year with Kawhi Leonard as well.
Yes, the other light-skinned guy on the team.
Yes, his name is Danny Green. You must have heard me mention him multiple times on this podcast, because he has his own podcast as well called Inside the Green Room. And Danny Green, one thing he's probably statistically our best 3-and-D person. He definitely hasn't been showing that in the last few playoff series, just because he's in his shooting slump right now. So the thing you have to understand in basketball is that all shooters always their tendency is to go into a slump. Klay Thompson had his in the beginning of the season, shooting horrible.
James Harden also had his.
Shooting pretty bad. JJ Redick has his occasionally throughout the season. And unfortunately for Danny Green, he's having his during the whole Bucks series. And it seems like, Game 1 of the Warriors, he's finally getting his movement back. Obviously, he's still shooting less than 50%, but getting those three-pointers in was definitely something that really helped spark us.
Yeah, so he has a nickname that's both really good and really bad for us. It's called Icy Hot. Now, you may wonder, the Icy Hot Patch? Yeah, it's Icy Hot Patch. It's because he either shoots really, really hot, which he has done for us during the regular season, or he just completely flatlines, which he unfortunately has been doing during the playoff run. But luckily, we're seeing the resurgence of the hot side of Danny Green again.
Yeah, during his finals MVP run, he actually had one, as if Ray Allen didn't shoot that 3-point in to win the series during the 2013 season. He was actually a contender to be the most valuable player in that final series. So we want that resurgence, or even a spark of that. It would be enough to help really excel the Raptors, hopefully take the next 3 games.
And Tommy mentioned Danny Green was actually a fantastic 3-and-D player. 3-and-D essentially means Someone who's really good at shooting 3-point shots, but is also good defensively. It's very problematic on the floor because you don't know where this guy will go at any moment.
Yeah. So I guess what you really need to know is just don't worry. Danny will always get a shot back. You always want him to keep shooting. He has a pet snake. And
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
Yeah, and he also has 2 dogs as well.
He also has the only smirk as a player picture in the NBA.
Really?
Yeah, he does, his signature.
Yeah.
I can't replicate that.
Yeah, but Danny Green, fan favorite for sure. He communicates the most on media with the Raptor fans, and I would love to see him back on the team for a solid contract. I know that he's relatively expensive, and he's on the decline. Right now his contract's about $10 million a year, and it is expiring soon. So hopefully he stays for a nice, cheap contract for both. That works out for both of them. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we can continue to see him talking on his podcast in the Green Room, sponsored by Yahoo Canada.
Yeah. Oh, another thing about Danny Green before we end it all off. Danny Green was actually very important for building the relationship between the Raptors and Kawhi Leonard. Because Danny Green was the only other person that came with Kawhi to Toronto. He was the only person that Kawhi was able to latch onto and treat as a friend during the beginning of this whole process. And Danny Green did a fantastic job being the facilitator of both the Raptors and Kawhi Leonard. Because Danny Green was completely on board with being with the Raptors from the jump. And we have to really thank him for being kind of the middleman between our organization and Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think that moves us really well to the next person, which is our 6th man on the bench, Serge Ibaka. Ibaka has now played a very big role in terms of what he does for the team, not only as basically our most dominant center, besides Marc Gasol, but also being the facilitator as Kawhi Leonard's closest friend in the Raptors. It's been pretty clear that Serge Ibaka and Kawhi Leonard had a very good history, locker room presence together. They hang out on the frequent as well. And Serge Ibaka has his own show, How Hungry Are You? And Kawhi Leonard ate some, was it bull penis?
Yes, some penis.
Yes, on his show as well. And you can just see that they have some friendly banter going on. And they really do respect each other. So it's great to see that they're able to, help the Kawhi and Dine initiative moving forward.
So, speaking of playoff experience and how important it is, there's also things as finals experience. Now, on our team, we actually have several players with finals experience. Now, specifically, the ones that we've already mentioned is Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, right? But there's also Serge Ibaka. He was part of a very, very legendary team, which is the Oklahoma City Thunders during the 2012-2013 run, where they actually made the finals with Kevin Durant, him, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden when they were all in their younger years. Sure, they got essentially a reverse swept by the Heat in 5 games, but there's still finals experience with Serge Ibaka.
Yeah, Serge Ibaka, he has been in the league for a long time, and surprisingly, he's not even that old. He's like 29 or something.
Or 38.
Yeah, we will never really know his true age because he's, we don't know what age he actually is.
Now, Serge Ibaka is actually also a fairly big fan favorite because he does very big momentum plays. He's the guy that's going to run up and do massive blocks that will get you out of your seat going, yeah. That was awkward. Yeah, I don't know why I sound like a goat, but yeah. And he's also a great 3-point shooter for a center, and he can hit the mid-range. So, overall, pretty great center. A little bit on the smaller side, but fantastic against the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, and a fun fact is in this playoffs, whenever Serge Ibaka hits more than 10 points in the game, he's undefeated at 9-0. So that's actually kind of crazy.
And you'll hear this quite a bit. Serge Ibaka is known as a home court player, which means he will perform even better than he normally does when he has a home crowd cheering for him. Because he's one of those players that do like the encouragement, the push, the drive. And when we're playing at home, he's going to do some massive shit.
Yeah, whether it's a putback dunk or a crazy-ass volleyball block, Serge Ibaka always brings the entertainment value for us.
Yes. Now, don't forget, we also have a song for Serge Ibaka.
Yes, you can find that on episode 1?
2.
Or 3. You guys should probably listen to all of our Audio Huddle podcast episodes.
Exactly. Sponsored by... We're not sponsored. Podbean.
Podbean excellence.
Now, you may have seen a guy on the court that comes in after Kyle Lowry, or sometimes with Kyle Lowry, who's also pretty short and kind of looks like Drake.
Yeah, like a short, stubbier version of Drake.
Don't be surprised. Don't be alarmed. That's not his brother. It's Fred VanVleet.
Senior.
Yes, Fred VanVleet Sr. Congratulations on his second son. He is actually another product of the G League. Remember when we already mentioned that Serge Ibaka was given a chance to play in the G League, which is the tier underneath the NBA? Well, he was actually the number 2 of that team where Pascal Siakam won the championship, and he was the number 2 man. So he was, how do I say it? He is a Kyle Lowry 2.0.
I would say that he is basically the predecessor.
Yeah, predecessor, yeah. He's given the nickname Steady Freddy. Very consistent. He was part of the legendary bench mob, as previously stated. And he has the best lineup in the entire NBA.
Yeah, and on top of that, Fred VanVleet, he wasn't really playing his best near the end of the season. He was injured for a little bit as well. That's when you saw Jeremy Lin play because he was out. And ever since he came back and kind of regained as his backup point guard position, he wasn't really excelling for the most part. It wasn't until maybe the last 4 games where he was shooting lights out. After the birth of his son,
Fred VanVleet Jr.,
he was able to really, really go hot and off on the third, in the 3-point line. He was shooting, in the last 3 games of the Bucks series, he shot 14 out of 17 shots. And that's over 80% shooting. And one of those shots was a Hail Mary near the buzzer for the 3-point play.
Yeah. So Fred VanVleet actually adjusted his arc a little bit. Sorry to ruin the whole hype that, because his son's born, he needs to stop playing like shit. He adjusted his arc, and he's shooting a lot better now. He's a shorter player. He needs a higher arc to shoot well.
Yeah. On top of that, when a reporter asked if the son gave him all the extra motivation and credit for his well performance, he responded back with, I don't give him any of the credit. It is all hard work and dedication and persistence of his hard work of training that got him to where he is now.
Yes.
It's not because he magically has a kid and now suddenly he's shooting better. He's been in the gym working hours to perfect that shot.
Yes. So, TLDR, Fred VanVleet, Drake 2.0, Kyle 2.0. They did a fusion dance, and this is Fred VanVleet. Now, great second option point guard, sometimes seen in the two positions, shooting guard position with Kyle Lowry. Also kind of short, great player off the bench. Had a huge slump during the playoffs, but is finally regaining his pace, if not actually facilitating better than expected in the times where it really mattered, which is against the Bucks and right now. So we hope to see Fred VanVleet play just as well again and continue and bring us a chip back.
Yeah, so moving forward, recently it was this individual's birthday. We've also signed him recently to a pretty fat contract, and for the first part of it, we thought he was a bust. We lost what he was potentially going to be, but it seemed like that was just a year slump, and now he's really picked it up again and became very productive for us. And this guy is Norman Powell.
His name was actually his nickname was actually Norm God.
Really?
Yeah, because coming off the bench, he played really amazing, and he's one of those guys where he may not have had any playoff experience, but he just excels during playoffs. For some reason, this is the guy coming off the bench that will definitely get you points and will definitely play consistent. So Norman Powell actually, from the previous year, when we actually faced off against the Bucks, and we're actually down 2-1 in the series, in case he decided to put Norman Powell as the starting position. And he effectively shut down the Bucks and won us the series.
Yeah, he's like a buck killer.
He's a buck killer. This guy hates deers, but he likes playoffs.
Yeah. Well, all you guys need to know is that Norman Powell is getting paid pretty nicely to be a really good backup bench role player, and he's excelling at that role right now.
Yeah, he is specifically good at during the playoffs. He's not actually amazing during this regular season, but I don't know, something flicks, and he just goes into robot mode and scores points for us.
That's true. He also understands the grind, which is also his clothing line. So everyone support him. He does a lot for the community, and a great guy overall. And hopefully he continues to excel. And maybe if we'll be lucky to see him being able to go off on one game of the Golden State Warriors. That's all I asked for.
Yeah. Okay, now moving on to our kryptonite against the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
The mole.
Yes.
The spy.
This guy has a very unique situation.
The only two-time champion in the Toronto Raptors.
Yes. So this guy's name is Patrick McCall. You might have heard of him in the trade deadline in February. Maybe not.
Probably not.
Probably not. But essentially, McCall, he was a role player in the Golden State Warriors.
Bench warmer,
but he still saw minutes. He was getting basically the same minutes as McKinney and Looney.
So these guys you will never hear because they're Golden State Warrior players. They're kind of the second to third string players on the Golden State Warriors, and Patrick McCall was, one of their players.
Yeah, and he had a pretty solid gig going. Essentially, he won't see more than 5 to 10 minutes a game. He just had to do his role, excel at that one thing that he was good at, which was mainly just defense, and also hit a three when he can. But he was also guaranteed a $5 million plus deal for 2 years just to experience the Golden State Warriors. But of course, he decided to bet on himself. He decided to leave that all behind for a chance to prove himself. Prove to the NBA that he is worth more than 5 point-ish, I think it's 5.6.
5.6 million.
Yeah, 5.6 million for 2 years, and instead took a $700K contract with the Toronto Raptors to only sit on the bench as well and play the exact same role that he did in the Golden State Warriors.
Yes, but however, he's actually getting some minutes during the series.
Yeah, it's good because obviously he probably guarded them earlier on in the practice runs and stuff. He probably knows how they play. So it's smart for him to be on the court. Of course, Patrick McCall, he probably would have excelled better in somewhere like the Cavs if he would want to show his skill set. But I think low-key, Patrick McCall knew that Toronto Raptors were going to win it. So he wanted to continue with his streak of being in the NBA and never losing a ring.
Yes, fun fact, he's never missed the finals.
Yeah, for sure. In his 3 seasons in the NBA, he's always been to the finals.
Exactly. Now, moving on to probably the fan favorite in all of Markham, Richmond Hill, half of Scarborough, Vancouver,
China,
Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Anywhere with Chinese people, it's Jeremy Lin, guys.
Jeremy Lin is in the Raptors.
But he's hot fucking trash.
Yeah, he basically played his way out of rotation. Jeremy Lin was given a lot of minutes when he first joined the team, and unfortunately, I think he just wasn't able to ever recover from his reign of horrible injuries, and unfortunately, now he's just the cheerleader.
He's here for jersey sales.
Yeah, he probably makes a lot of jerseys sales.
Honestly, probably more than, Pascal.
Fun fact, did you know that? No, actually, Pascal Siakam is, I think, top 50 jersey sales in Fanatics. Yeah, that's
sick.
Crazy. The fact that he has more jersey sales than Kyle Lowry in the U.S. market.
Wow.
And then I'm assuming that more people are going to buy after his performance on Thursday.
Wow, good for Pascal.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, fun fact with Jeremy Lin is that the team's actually 6-0 when he does play in home court during the playoffs because he only plays during garbage minutes. But
garbage minutes means a team is getting blown out. Now, this could mean either we are blowing the team out or we are getting blown out.
And so far, every time he's played, we're winning at home.
No, okay, at home because he was also playing against Philadelphia.
Yeah, there was that one game. So total was 6-1, but just to kind of fluff up the stat, I'm going to say 6-0 at home.
Facts. So, Jeremy Lin, I know you have a lot of fans here. Unfortunately, he's actually hot garbage. I don't blame you. You've had a lot of really bad injuries, and Linsanity will always be
truly deep in our hearts.
Exactly. So forever, we respect you and we love you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
But please never touch the floor.
You know, I would love to watch him touch the floor.
When it doesn't matter.
When it doesn't matter, yeah, for sure.
You know, if it's fourth quarter and we're up by 30, please come on the court. But if it's even between 15 points, don't even touch that floor.
Yeah, because as the Portland Trailblazers has shown us, an 18-point lead doesn't mean anything against the Golden State Warriors.
Well, if you could say that, if you're saying that, then a 31-point lead doesn't mean shit either because the Clippers beat the Warriors.
That's true. So we never know. And I think just due to the time fact, we've already been going on for about almost close to 50 minutes now. Let's just brush through the other guys who are not important. But there is one guy that is important that we totally skipped out. It's OG Anunoby.
He's injured. He's actually probable for today.
Yeah, so let's hope that he does come on for today. What you need to know about him is that he is basically our cornerstone for development. He is one of the guys who are untradeable on the team. Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby are the two because we have very high ceiling expectations for them.
Yeah, OG's very good defensively. He defended LeBron previous year. Athletic freak. Not that good at shooting, but he's developing a three-point shot.
Yeah, he's really good with the corner threes.
He is. And we hope that he comes back. Now, we're going to just brush through 5 players that will probably never see minutes unless it really doesn't matter. Chris Boucher, Eric Moreland, Jordan Lloyd, Jody Meeks,
and Malcolm Miller. Yeah. I don't know. Let's say one sentence about Boucher.
Finals MVP in the G League. Also Canadian.
Okay, and Moreland.
He has braids, tattoos, and he's a really bad power forward.
How about Jordan Lloyd?
I didn't know his name until today.
Jody Meeks.
Was suspended 50 games for having performance-enhancing drugs in his system.
And Malcolm Miller.
The guy that looks Somalian, but he's actually not.
And okay, I hope in this short time of 50 minutes, you guys now have a better understanding about the Toronto Raptors.
Yes, and we hope you enjoyed our little bandwagon guide. And hopefully you have a little bit more insight and you can actually appreciate the game a little bit more moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. So, due to the fact that, if you guys are still listening to this, I thank you guys so much for this opportunity. Please share with their other bandwagon fans that, this quick 50-minute short 101 session is able to stimulate and educate you for the sports talks in the office.
Yes. So please share with your other bandwagon friends who have no idea what's going on in the finals but want to join in. Let them know that, hey, Audio Huddle can provide the sauce.
The spicy sauce.
My name is Eugene.
And my name is Tommy. And remember,
we are fans,
not experts. And remember, we are on iTunes, so please give us that 5 stars.
We're also on Spotify.
So please tune us out there. And Podbean, as always.
The gang, the alliance.
Forever. Raps in 6.
Raps in 5.